I am New York.
Я сам Нью-Йорк.
I am New York.
Yo soy Nueva York.
Sono New York.
Je suis New York.
Welcome to Diverse City, where we explore New York's eclectic enclaves, one neighborhood at a time. I'm Zyphus Lebrun. This month we're in Midtown Manhattan, visiting Kips Bay. The affluent area stretches from the East River to Lexington Avenue. It's bordered by 34th Street in the north and 23rd Street to the south. The New York Times once described Kips Bay as being four toddlers in parallel play, a reference to the different characteristics along each of its avenue corridors. First Avenue, or Hospital Row, is known for the many healthcare facilities along this street. Then there's Second Avenue, with its mid-century apartment buildings. Third Avenue, particularly above 32nd Street, is all about the bars and the young people who patronize them. Below 32nd, you can find some longtime neighborhood delights like La Delice, a pastry shop that's been around since 1935. Lexington Avenue has become known as Curry Hill, a play on the nearby neighborhood Murray Hill. The nickname Curry Hill is also a reference to the growing number of South Asian businesses that have popped up along the strip. On this episode, diminutive dwellings, how small spaces may help the city with its big housing problem. Running with the big dogs, a prodigious pooch that's part mascot and all inspiration. And on Curry Hill, how one entrepreneur is spicing up the neighborhood with different delicacies from India. Those stories and more coming up on Diverse City. Kips Bay is home to the city's first micro-apartment building complex. This move toward more mini apartments is in an effort to accommodate New York's growing number of small households. This is a version of the tiny house movement that started around 2008 after the mortgage crisis. It's all about giving up more palatial pads for quaint quarters that still meet residents' needs. Greg Thompson has more on how these half-size homes may not just be a fad, but an answer to the city's housing crisis.
11 years ago, the city launched the ADAPT NYC development competition to award the construction of the first micro-unit building that would be built right here in Kips Bay.
Kips Bay at the time of this competition was one of the neighborhoods that was suffering in terms of the greatest loss in the number of affordable units.
That loss, back in 2004, was because the Phipps Plaza West houses were moved out of the Mitchell-Lama Affordable Housing Program and made into market-rate units. Eric Bungay is a co-founder of Enna Architects, the architecture firm that was part of a team that won the right to build the micro-units. The building, now called Carmel Place, has 55 units inside. 22 of them are permanent affordable housing. The building is made of modular sections that were built in Brooklyn and placed here.
What we're seeing here are 4 units facing the park, and then on the other side of the building there are 4 units facing that way. So we have a total of 8 units per level until we get to the setback. So the square footage of the units net ranges from 260 square feet to 360, with the median being 300 square feet.
Bungay says the loss of affordable housing was just one of the reasons the area was chosen for this project.
The city owned this land, so they could act upon it and provide mayoral overrides.
Mayor Bloomberg did just that when he loosened housing density regulations for this pilot project. The new rules allowed for no minimum unit size for Carmel Place. At the time, Mayor Bloomberg justified this move by saying, "Developing housing that matches how New Yorkers live today is critical to the city's continued growth, future competitiveness, and long-term economic success." A study from Citizens Housing Planning Council showed that over 50% of New York City households are single person.
This is a great example, I think, of good data spurring the design community to encourage a demonstration project that could show people what might be possible.
June Williamson is an architecture professor at the Spitzer School of Architecture.
There's data that showed we needed smaller apartments, that people were willing to live in them. And while you may think the rent seems high, it would be higher if they were larger.
She studies housing history across the nation. She says that though microunits are a great innovation, New York City has had issues with overcrowding apartments in its past.
One time in history, New York City had arguably the most densely settled neighborhoods and districts in the entire world. The Lower East Side, the tenement districts there where people really were packed in, and this became notorious, the overcrowding in some of these districts and neighborhoods. So a lot of effort went in the 19th century, the late 19th century, the early 20th century to try to alleviate those conditions and disallow them. So we had tenement laws that said you needed to have windows and you needed to have access to the outside and you needed to have sanitary facilities.
Codes were put into place to prevent that type of overcrowding. But now, the city finds itself with insufficient housing for single-person households.
We need to shift, I believe, in producing many, many more choices for people, and this is just one of many.
That feeling when people go in, it maybe they had preconceptions about living in small units. Largely what we've heard is that those preconceptions melted away when people walked in.
But despite their initial acceptance, no additional micro-apartment buildings have been built in Kips Bay or in the city. More recently, a program started in 2019 by the city called the Basement Apartment Conversion Pilot Program helps homeowners convert basements to legal, rentable apartments, which may ease the housing crunch.
I think I'm most proud of the way this project has contributed to conversations about housing and about affordability and about who we are today. Who are the residents of housing today? For us, it's a project, but it's also kind of an initiative by the city addressing a very big problem. Affordability. As a prototype, it doesn't solve anything on its own, but it does, address constructively issues that are broad and affect many aspects of the city we live in today.
For Diverse City, I'm Craig Thompson.
Right along Hospital Road stands a piece of art that may have its nose in the air, but has firmly grounded ambitions. Linda Simidian has more about this powerful pup.
New Yorkers love their dogs, all shapes and sizes. In Kips Bay, there's a sculpture that has taken that love to a whole new level. It's a playful pup named Spot who brings smiles to all who pass by, especially to the kids who need it the most.
Children who come to our hospital require help. They sometimes have serious conditions and require serious treatment.
Standing at the entrance of Hassenfeld Children's Hospital at NYU Langone on East 34th Street, Spot was created by famed artist Donald Lipsky in 2018 and stands 4 stories high.
The theme for the building, the landmarks of New York. And thinking it through, I thought of a taxi. Most of the kids who come here are arriving in taxis, and nothing is really more New York than a yellow cab.
The sculpture we see now wasn't what Lipsky had in mind originally. He had envisioned a stuffed animal holding a yellow cab. That changed after a conversation he had with Dr. Catherine Mano, the chair of the pediatrics department at the hospital.
Donald was very open in his willingness to listen to those of us who work in children's hospitals and understand that it's not all fun and games.
She wanted something more dignified for all the people who work in the hospital, the doctors and nurses, technicians. There's 1,000 people who work in this building.
So Lipsky reimagined the concept. Then came the challenging task of creating a 4-story sculpture of a Dalmatian balancing a real taxi on its nose.
I made what I wanted it to look like in Photoshop, using pictures of actual dogs. A talented sculptor I know named Chris Collins sculpted the dog out of clay, and then that got scanned and turned into foam, full size, that made a form that was made into fiberglass. I decided I wanted a Prius. I was able to get on the phone with the CEO of Toyota. He loved the idea and sent me a taxi.
While this cool piece of public art catches the eye of everybody who passes by, the art program inside the hospital was created with young patients in mind.
The integration of art is a key part of our philosophy. We're very much dedicated to creating environments that are focused on health and wellness.
Vicki Matchsuna is the Executive VP of Real Estate and Development at NYU Langone Health, who conceived the art program.
The goal was to make children feel comfortable when they come here and to have iconic references that they would know.
The artwork has been hand-picked to ease the worries of young patients who come here for treatment. The hallways are like art galleries with cool sculptures and playful paintings, turning the hospital into a magical world.
There are a tremendous amount of studies that have been done to show that the integration of art as well as nature has a positive impact on patients and families and staff. It really makes a difference in the healing process.
It could be safe to say that Spot is a big part of that.
I love that Spot is in my neighborhood.
We get visitors who come here not even to go to the hospital, just really to see Spot.
I wanted it to be delightful for the kids. I wanted it to be a surprise. I wanted it to be lovable.
There are many elements of Spot that still fascinate me. Spot exemplifies for us the grit and the endurance that's required to get through a hospital stay. But Spot also represents to us playfulness.
For Diverse City, I'm Linda Samidian.
One South Asian chef has made it his mission to popularize food from his part of the planet here in the United States. Asian American Life's Kyung Yoon was on assignment for us this month and tells us more.
Take a walk along Lexington Avenue between 25th and 30th Streets, and you can feel transported to India without ever leaving New York City.
Because, a lot of Indian stores and restaurants, so people traveling especially for Indian spices or food. So that's why it's popular.
Hemant Mathur, who owns 3 restaurants in Curry Hill, is America's first Michelin-starred Indian chef. He says each of his Curry Hill restaurants represents different regions of India.
Dhaba is Punjab. Punjabi food is much popular because this Punjabi food comes first abroad from India. And people love it, Punjabi food like butter chicken, tandoori chicken. Sahib, we have Kashmiri food. So this is from up north, so they have different kind of food. Their Kashmiri food we use of like yogurt, some whole spice, garam masalas. Because very cold, so we put some heat spices, yeah. Chote Nawab is from South Hyderabad. Hyderabad is very popular for Indian food. So they have biryanis, like rice dishes and kebabs.
For more than 30 years, Chef Mathur has been on a mission to make Indian food more popular and accessible to New Yorkers. He opened Sar Indian Bistro in 2018 to bring modern Indian cuisine to Times Square.
A lot of people coming from other part of America, they never eat Indian food. A lot of people came here and they said, we eat Indian food first time. And they love it.
The chef says that his first Curry Hill restaurant, Dhaba, helped to transform the area into a food destination.
Before people think only yellow cab driver go there and eat food. We opened this Dhaba. People then coming there, slowly other restaurants open. And then people think, Lexington Avenue is a good restaurant.
Neighborhoods like this one are just one more testament to the hard work, energy, and entrepreneurship of immigrants and what makes New York, New York. I'm Kyung Yoon for Diverse City.
That's our look at Kips Bay in Midtown Manhattan. Join us next time when we'll head over to Port Morris in the Bronx. Till then, thanks for joining us as we explore our diverse city.